Ladies and gentlemen, life as we experience it is an intricate dance of shadows and light. To understand the nature of existence, one must embrace the paradoxes it presents. Among these paradoxes is the curious idea that some individuals in our lives might seem like demons. But what does this mean? Are we speaking of horns and tails, or something subtler, something more profound? Life, in all its complexity, is a tapestry of interconnected experiences, each thread infused with meaning waiting to be uncovered. To live is to engage with a mystery so profound that its essence often eludes the grasp of our rational minds. Yet, life continually invites us to see beyond the surface, to delve into the symbolic layers that lie beneath our immediate perceptions. This invitation is not an abstract concept reserved for philosophers or mystics. It is a living, breathing truth embedded in every moment, relationship, and event. And consider the sunrise. To the untrained eye, it may simply signify the start of a new day, a celestial mechanism of the Earth rotating on its axis. Yet, for those who pause to reflect, it is a profound symbol of renewal, hope, and the eternal rhythm of beginnings and endings. The light breaking through the darkness mirrors the human capacity to overcome despair, to find clarity after confusion. It is a reminder that no matter how deep the night, dawn will come, and with it, the possibility of transformation. This symbolic depth is not confined to grand, awe-inspiring phenomena. Even the most mundane aspects of our lives are rich with meaning if we choose to see them as such. A seed planted in the soil is more than a botanical act, it is a metaphor for potential, for growth that begins in obscurity and struggle. The seed must first break apart, sacrificing its initial form, before it can sprout and reach for the sky. How often do we experience moments in our own lives where we must let go of who we are to become who we are meant to be? The seed's journey is our own, played out in the quiet theater of nature. Relationships, too, are steeped in symbolic resonance. The people we encounter, whether fleetingly or enduringly, serve as mirrors reflecting parts of ourselves. The friend who listens without judgment symbolizes the unconditional acceptance we crave. The adversary who challenges us represents the inner conflicts we must resolve. Even the stranger who crosses our path briefly may carry a message, a nudge from the universe to pay attention, to awaken to something we have overlooked. Each interaction is a dialogue not just between individuals, but between our inner and outer worlds. Yet we often resist this symbolic perspective. Modern life, with its relentless pace and emphasis on material explanations, encourages us to remain at the surface, to see things as merely what they appear to be. This reductionist view strips the world of its magic, leaving us disconnected from the deeper currents of existence. To rediscover these currents requires a shift in awareness, a willingness to look with the eyes of a poet or a child's eyes that see not just what is, but what could be. Symbols are the language of the soul, and life speaks to us through them constantly. A broken object might signify an ending, but it also invites us to consider what can be rebuilt or reimagined. A sudden storm might seem like a disruption, yet it carries the energy of cleansing and renewal. Even our struggles, the moments we label as failures, hold within them the seeds of wisdom and growth. To view life symbolically is to acknowledge that every experience has layers of meaning, some of which may only become clear with time and reflection. This perspective is not about imposing meaning where there is none, but about recognizing the inherent interconnectedness of all things. The universe is not a random collection of isolated events, it is a dynamic, living whole in which every part influences and is influenced by the rest. Symbols are the threads that weave this wholeness into patterns we can perceive, understand, and learn from. They guide us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos. When we begin to live with this awareness, life takes on a new vibrancy. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. A walk in the forest becomes a journey into the mysteries of growth, decay, and renewal. A difficult conversation becomes an opportunity to practice empathy, to explore the terrain of vulnerability and connection. Even the silence between words takes on a sacred quality, inviting us to listen more deeply. To see beyond surface appearances is not to deny the physical reality of things, but to enrich it. The material and the symbolic are not separate, they are two facets of the same reality. A river is both a body of flowing water and a metaphor for persistence and adaptability. A mountain is both a geological formation and a symbol of aspiration and endurance. By embracing both dimensions, we engage with life more fully, more authentically. This approach to life requires a certain courage. It asks us to step out of our habitual ways of seeing, to question our assumptions, and to remain open to mystery. It is not always comfortable, for symbols often reveal truths we would rather avoid. But it is deeply rewarding, for it connects us to the profound intelligence of life itself, a force that is always communicating, always guiding, if only we have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. In the end, to recognize life's symbolic nature is to participate in its unfolding with greater awareness and intention. It is to dance with the mystery, to embrace the unknown not as something to be feared, but as a source of endless wonder. The surface may shimmer with beauty, but it is in the depths that we find the treasures that truly transform us. Life, layered with symbolism, invites us to journey inward, to discover not just what the world is, but what it means to be truly alive. Interactions with negative energy are often unsettling, yet they are integral to our journey of self-discovery and growth. Life, in its infinite wisdom, does not present us with challenges arbitrarily. Every encounter, especially those steeped in negativity, carries the seeds of self-awareness, waiting to be cultivated. To understand this, we must look beyond the discomfort such interactions evoke and see them as mirrors reflecting aspects of ourselves that might otherwise remain hidden. When we encounter negativity, be it in the form of conflict, criticism, or hostility, it is natural to react defensively. Our initial instinct is often to resist, to blame, or to seek escape. This reaction, though understandable, blinds us to the deeper truth of the situation, that these experiences are not merely external, they also arise to illuminate internal landscapes. The negative energy we perceive in others often corresponds to unresolved emotions, fears, or insecurities within ourselves. It is as if life, through these interactions, is holding up a mirror, urging us to look within and ask, what is this teaching me about myself? Consider, for example, the person who constantly criticizes us. Our immediate response might be frustration or anger, but if we pause and reflect, we might uncover deeper layers of our reaction. Does the criticism sting because it touches on an insecurity we harbor? Does it challenge an identity we are fiercely protecting? Or perhaps it highlights a truth we have avoided confronting? The critic, unpleasant as they may seem, becomes an unwitting teacher, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of our own vulnerabilities and blind spots. Negative energy also reveals the boundaries we set or fail to set in our lives. When someone consistently drains our energy or tests our patience, it prompts us to examine the role we play in perpetuating these dynamics. Do we struggle to say no? Do we tolerate disrespect out of fear of conflict? Do we seek validation from those who cannot or will not offer it? These interactions force us to confront our patterns and question whether they serve our highest good. In doing so, they present an invaluable opportunity to cultivate self-respect, assertiveness, and clarity about what we are willing to accept in our lives. Moreover, the presence of negativity challenges us to develop emotional resilience and equanimity. Life does not unfold in a vacuum of positivity. It is a dynamic interplay of joy and sorrow, harmony and discord. To navigate this complexity with grace, we must learn to engage with negativity without being consumed by it. This requires a shift in perspective. Instead of seeing negativity as something to be avoided, we can view it as an opportunity to practice patience, empathy, and inner stability. The difficult person or situation becomes a training ground for our emotional growth, helping us to cultivate the strength to remain centered even in the face of adversity. At times, negative energy may arise not from others, but from within ourselves. Interactions that provoke anger, jealousy, or fear often reveal parts of our psyche that we have repressed or denied. These shadow aspects of our being, though uncomfortable to confront, are integral to our wholeness. By acknowledging and integrating them, we move closer to authenticity and self-acceptance. The external negativity we encounter serves as a catalyst for this inner work, encouraging us to bring unconscious patterns into conscious awareness. The key to transforming these interactions lies in approaching them with curiosity rather than judgment. Instead of labeling someone as toxic or dismissing a situation as purely unpleasant, we can ask ourselves, what is this experience teaching me? How does it reflect my inner world? What can I learn about my triggers, boundaries, and values? Such questions shift our focus from blame to self-inquiry, empowering us to grow from even the most challenging encounters. It is also important to recognize that engaging with negative energy does not mean condoning harmful behavior or subjecting ourselves to unnecessary suffering. Self-awareness is not about passive acceptance, but about active discernment. There is wisdom in knowing when to walk away and when to stay and learn. Sometimes the lesson lies in asserting our boundaries and reclaiming our peace. At other times, it lies in staying present and finding the strength to navigate discomfort with compassion and clarity. Interactions with negative energy remind us that life is not a series of random events, but a carefully orchestrated journey of growth. Each moment, no matter how difficult, carries the potential to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The people and situations that challenge us are not obstacles to our path, they are part of the path itself, offering us the chance to evolve into more self-aware, compassionate, and empowered beings. To embrace this perspective is to transform our relationship with negativity. What once seemed like an unwelcome intrusion becomes a meaningful encounter, a stepping stone on the path to self-discovery. We begin to see that the energy we label as negative is not inherently good or bad, it is simply a force that invites us to grow. How we respond to it determines whether it becomes a source of suffering or a gateway to greater awareness. Ultimately, interactions with negative energy are opportunities to align more deeply with our true selves. They challenge us to question, to reflect, and to transform. They teach us to navigate life with greater wisdom and compassion, not by avoiding discomfort, but by embracing it as an integral part of our journey. In this way, even the darkest moments become infused with light, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of who we are and what we are capable of becoming. Conflict is an intrinsic part of the human experience, arising in relationships, communities, and even within our own minds. It is often viewed as something to be avoided, resolved, or subdued, but beneath its surface lies a profound opportunity for growth and understanding. To truly grasp the essence of conflict, one must explore its deeper roots, which are found in the nature of duality itself. It is through this lens that conflict reveals its role not as a flaw in existence, but as an expression of the tension between opposing forces that shape our reality. Duality is the foundational structure of existence. Light and dark, creation and destruction, joy and sorrow, these opposing forces are not enemies, but interdependent aspects of a greater whole. One cannot exist without the other. Light becomes meaningful only in contrast to darkness. Joy is cherished precisely because sorrow exists. Similarly, conflict arises from the interplay of dualities, highlighting the natural tension between differing perspectives, desires, and energies. It is not a mistake or aberration, but a reflection of the dynamic balance that underpins life. At the heart of conflict lies the clash between opposites. Whether it is a disagreement between individuals, a struggle between groups, or an internal battle of conscience, conflict emerges when one perspective or force asserts itself against another. Yet this clash is not inherently negative. It is in fact a manifestation of the same creative tension that drives the cosmos. The interplay of opposites generates movement, transformation, and growth. Without it, life would stagnate, lacking the impetus for change and evolution. Understanding this reveals that conflict is not something to be eradicated, but something to be understood. It is a signal pointing to the existence of dualities that need integration. For instance, consider a disagreement between two individuals. On the surface, it may appear as a simple clash of opinions or interests, but at its core, it often reflects deeper dualities, such as the need for individuality versus the desire for connection, or the tension between personal values and collective norms. These dualities are not problems to be solved, but truths to be reconciled, requiring empathy, dialogue, and reflection. Internal conflict is perhaps the most intimate expression of this principle. The human psyche is a microcosm of duality, containing opposing desires, fears, and aspirations. We long for freedom, yet crave security. We seek love, yet fear vulnerability. These inner tensions are not failures of character, but fundamental aspects of being human. They propel us towards self-awareness, forcing us to confront the complexity of our own nature. By embracing this inner duality, rather than resisting it, we gain clarity about who we are and what truly matters to us. The same applies to societal conflicts. When groups or nations find themselves at odds, it is often because they embody different aspects of a shared reality. One group may champion progress and innovation, while another prioritizes tradition and stability. These perspectives, though seemingly at odds, are both essential to the collective well-being. Progress without grounding leads to chaos, while tradition without adaptation results in stagnation. The challenge lies not in choosing one over the other, but in finding a way to harmonize these dualities, creating a dynamic equilibrium that benefits all. However, the root of most conflict lies in the illusion of separation. Duality, while real, is often misunderstood as division. We perceive the other, whether another person, group, or idea, as fundamentally separate from ourselves, forgetting that opposites are two sides of the same coin. This illusion fuels fear, mistrust, and aggression as we attempt to protect our identity or interests from perceived threats. Yet, when we look deeply, we realize that the boundaries between self and other are porous, that our fates are intertwined, and that conflict, far from being a battle to win, is an opportunity to connect and grow. The resolution of conflict, therefore, is not about eliminating one side of the duality, but about transcending the illusion of opposition. This does not mean suppressing differences or forcing consensus, but embracing the tension as a source of creative potential. It requires a shift in perspective from seeing conflict as a problem to be fixed to viewing it as a dance between complementary forces. In this dance, each side has something valuable to offer, and the challenge is to find the rhythm that allows both to coexist in harmony. For this to happen, there must be a willingness to listen, to understand, and to let go of rigid attachments to being right. True resolution emerges when we acknowledge the validity of both sides of the duality and seek a deeper truth that encompasses them both. This is not always easy, for it demands humility, patience, and the courage to confront our own shadows. Yet it is through this process that conflict becomes a gateway to transformation, revealing the unity that lies beneath the surface of division. In the end, a deeper understanding of conflict leads us to a profound truth that duality is not something to fear or resist, but something to embrace. It is the tension between opposites that gives life its richness, depth, and meaning. Conflict, in all its forms, invites us to explore these dualities, to bridge the gaps between them, and to grow into a fuller, more integrated version of ourselves. By recognizing its roots in duality, we can approach conflict not with fear or hostility, but with curiosity and openness, transforming it from a source of pain into a wellspring of wisdom and growth. True liberation is not found in escaping the challenges of life or denying the parts of ourselves we find uncomfortable. It comes from facing and integrating those very aspects we tend to avoid, the shadow self. The shadow, a term popularized by Carl Jung, represents the parts of our psyche that we repress or deny, often because they conflict with our conscious self-image. These shadow aspects may include fears, desires, impulses, or traits we have been taught are unacceptable. While the shadow is often seen as something dark or negative, it holds a treasure trove of insights, creativity, and vitality that can only be accessed through recognition and integration. At its core, the shadow is not inherently good or bad, it simply is. It is made up of the parts of ourselves we have cast away to maintain a coherent sense of identity. For example, a person who prides themselves on being kind and compassionate may repress feelings of anger or resentment, as these emotions contradict their self-concept. Similarly, someone who sees themselves as strong and independent might suppress vulnerability or the need for connection. Over time, these disowned parts do not disappear, they linger in the unconscious, influencing thoughts, behaviors, and relationships in ways we often fail to recognize. The shadow manifests in our lives in subtle and overt ways. It can emerge through projection, where we attribute qualities we dislike in ourselves to others. For instance, a person who struggles with their own ambition might resent those who openly pursue success, labeling them as selfish or greedy. Alternatively, the shadow might surface as compulsive behaviors, self-sabotage, or unexplained emotional reactions. These manifestations are the shadow's way of calling attention to its existence, urging us to acknowledge and integrate it into our conscious awareness. Recognizing the shadow self is a courageous act. It requires us to confront the aspects of ourselves we have been taught to fear or reject. This confrontation can be unsettling because it challenges the carefully constructed identity we have built over time. Yet, it is through this process that true liberation begins. When we stop running from our shadow and instead turn toward it with curiosity and compassion, we discover that it is not a monster to be defeated, but a part of ourselves longing to be understood and integrated. Integration does not mean acting out every impulse or desire that arises from the shadow. It means acknowledging these aspects without judgment and finding constructive ways to express and harmonize them within our lives. For example, anger, when denied, can become destructive, but when integrated, it can serve as a source of empowerment and boundary setting. Similarly, vulnerability, often seen as weakness, can become a strength that fosters deeper connections and authenticity when embraced. The process of shadow integration transforms our relationship with ourselves and the world around us. It allows us to step out of the dualistic mindset that divides us into good and bad, right and wrong. Instead, we begin to see ourselves as whole beings, capable of encompassing a vast spectrum of emotions, traits, and experiences. This wholeness is the essence of true liberation. It frees us from the constant need to uphold an idealized self-image and grants us the courage to live authentically. Liberation through shadow work also extends to our relationships with others. When we integrate our shadow, we become less likely to project our disowned qualities onto those around us. This shift fosters greater empathy and understanding as we recognize that others, like ourselves, are complex and multifaceted beings. It also reduces the conflicts and misunderstandings that arise from unconscious projections, paving the way for deeper and more meaningful connections. Integrating the shadow is not a one-time event, but an ongoing journey. The unconscious mind is vast, and as we grow and evolve, new aspects of the shadow may emerge, inviting us to continue the work of self-discovery. Each encounter with the shadow is an opportunity to reclaim a part of ourselves, to deepen our self-awareness, and to expand our capacity for love and acceptance. The rewards of this journey are profound. By integrating the shadow, we gain access to its hidden gifts: creativity, intuition, passion, and resilience. These qualities, once buried, become powerful allies in our pursuit of a fulfilling and authentic life. We also develop a greater sense of inner peace, as we are no longer at war with ourselves. This peace radiates outward, influencing how we engage with the world and contributing to a more harmonious existence. True liberation, then, is not about escaping the shadow but embracing it. It is about recognizing that the parts of ourselves we fear or reject are not enemies but integral pieces of the puzzle that make us whole. By facing the shadow with courage, compassion, and curiosity, we unlock the door to a deeper understanding of who we are and what it means to be fully alive. The shadow, far from being a burden, becomes a source of wisdom and strength, guiding us toward the freedom that comes from living in alignment with our true selves. In this way, liberation is not a destination but a practice, a commitment to meet ourselves with honesty and openness, even in the face of discomfort. It is a journey toward wholeness, where we learn to dance with our shadow rather than fear it, to integrate its lessons rather than deny its existence. And in doing so, we discover that the path to freedom lies not in turning away from the darkness, but in embracing it as an essential part of our light. The journey of life often presents us with challenges, struggles, and inner conflicts that we label as demons. These demons take many forms: fear, anger, doubt, shame, guilt, or even externalized adversities like difficult relationships or circumstances. They can feel overwhelming, as though they are forces set against us, threatening our sense of peace and security. But the essence of the human experience lies not in waging war against these perceived enemies, but in understanding, embracing, and transforming them into allies of growth. It is through this process that we unlock the deepest truths about ourselves and our capacity for transformation. To fight our demons is to resist the lessons they bring. Resistance is a natural reaction, born of fear and misunderstanding. When faced with discomfort or pain, the instinctive response is to push it away, deny its existence, or attempt to conquer it through sheer force of will. Yet this approach often leads to deeper entanglement. The more we resist, the more these demons grow in strength, fed by the energy of our opposition. They thrive in the shadows of denial, becoming ever more entrenched in our psyche and manifesting in ways that disrupt our lives. But what if these demons are not enemies at all? What if they are aspects of ourselves crying out for attention and integration? This shift in perspective changes everything. Rather than seeing fear, anger, or doubt as forces to be vanquished, we can begin to view them as messengers, bearing gifts of insight and self-awareness. They arise not to harm us, but to guide us toward a deeper understanding of our inner world. By facing them with curiosity and compassion, we transform the very nature of these experiences, turning what once seemed like obstacles into powerful tools for growth. Consider fear, one of the most common and persistent demons in human life. Fear often feels like a barrier, stopping us from pursuing our dreams or embracing change. But fear, when examined closely, reveals itself as a protector, warning us of perceived dangers and urging caution. Its presence invites us to ask important questions. What am I afraid of? Why does this fear hold such power over me? What lies on the other side of it? By engaging with fear rather than fleeing from it, we uncover its root causes, whether they are past traumas, limiting beliefs, or unmet needs, and gain the ability to move forward with greater clarity and strength. Similarly, anger, another so-called demon, is often misunderstood. It is easy to see anger as destructive, a force that drives division and conflict. Yet anger is also a signal, pointing to boundaries that have been crossed or injustices that need addressing. When harnessed constructively, anger becomes a catalyst for change, empowering us to stand up for ourselves and others. It teaches us about our values, our limits, and the areas of our lives where action is needed. By acknowledging and channeling anger wisely, we transform it from a source of turmoil into a force for positive transformation. Even doubt, which can feel like an insidious presence, undermining our confidence and decisions, holds valuable lessons. Doubt encourages us to question, to examine our assumptions, and to seek deeper truths. It prevents complacency and pushes us to refine our understanding of ourselves and the world. Rather than suppressing doubt, we can welcome it as a companion on the journey, one that sharpens our awareness and keeps us grounded in reality. The process of transforming demons into allies requires a willingness to confront them directly. This does not mean indulging in their destructive potential, but rather engaging with them mindfully. It involves creating a space where these emotions and experiences can be acknowledged without judgment, where their messages can be heard and understood. Meditation, journaling, therapy, or conversations with trusted confidants can all serve as tools for this exploration. The goal is not to erase these aspects of ourselves, but to integrate them into our wholeness, recognizing that they too have a role to play in our journey. Transformation also involves patience and self-compassion. The process of turning demons into allies is not instantaneous. It is a gradual unfolding that requires time, effort, and a gentle approach. There will be moments of struggle and setbacks, but these are part of the process. Each step, no matter how small, brings us closer to a state of inner harmony and self-awareness. By treating ourselves with kindness, we create an environment in which healing and growth can occur. As we transform our demons, we come to see them not as foreign invaders, but as integral parts of our being. They are the shadows that define our light, the challenges that shape our strength, and the teachers that guide us toward greater wisdom and compassion. This integration leads to a profound sense of liberation. We are no longer at war with ourselves, no longer divided between what we accept and what we reject. Instead, we embrace our complexity, recognizing that every aspect of our experience has something valuable to offer. In this way, the journey is not about eradicating what we perceive as negative or harmful within us. It is about embracing the full spectrum of our humanity, including the parts that make us uncomfortable. It is about alchemy, turning lead into gold, pain into wisdom, and fear into courage. Our demons, once feared and shunned, become trusted allies, helping us navigate the intricacies of life with greater awareness and grace. Ultimately, the journey of transforming demons into allies is one of self-discovery and empowerment. It teaches us that nothing within us is inherently bad or unworthy. Everything has a purpose and a lesson to impart. By facing our inner shadows with courage and compassion, we unlock the door to our highest potential, stepping into a life of authenticity, balance, and profound inner freedom.